Hi guys, this is Mia from Mimo Design Laser Files, and I'm back with a brand new concept and laser file. So today I'll teach you how to use this stencil jig. This is for the arabesque pattern, but this tutorial is pretty generic and will work for all my patterns, because I will have more patterns coming up as soon as I'm done with this project. So once you've got the file, you'll have a bottom, you'll have a middle layer, and you'll have the stencil layer. So what you want to do is cut the bottom from whatever thickness of material you want. This thickness doesn't matter at all. This layer you want to cut from the same thickness as you cut your ornaments. Once you have your jig, it is a jig, assembled, you can cut as many as these as you wish separately. The next thing you want to do is to cut the stencil, and I do recommend that you cut this from the thinnest possible material that you can find. If you cut cardboard, that would be super for this project. I don't cut cardboard, but I had this 2.5mm hardboard, so that's what I'm using. But the thinner you can cut this, the more accurate and beautiful your pattern will be. So assembling is easy. You just glue these parts together, and once you have them together, it will look something like this. So I will glue this, but I just want to introduce it first. So when it's glued together, you take your ornaments. I've already painted and tested these, and I painted the backside. So you can use the pattern for both sides, or you could just use it for the front. But you place your ornament by sliding the hanger on top, and then you can push it down. Then you take your stencil, and the stencils are also included as separate files. So all upcoming stencils, as well as this one, can be mixed and matched. So you place your stencil, and now you're ready to paint with spray paint or paint pens or acrylic paint or whatever you think will work for you. I did a bunch of mistakes while testing this file out, so that's why I'm making this tutorial, because then you can learn not to repeat those mistakes. So my first mistake was when I spray painted, because I painted the colors here with chalk paints. That's these from Fleur. It's a Leroy Merlin board brands. I think you can find some of them on Amazon. I'll drop our affiliate link below. But after I painted these, I went directly out to spray paints with this the files contains a 1 version, 2 version, 3 version, which is this one, and one for 4 ornaments. So you could actually make 4 ornaments at once. And if you made 2 of the jigs, you could make as many as you want, but 4 is the maximum that I could fit for one Glowforge sheet. So back to the explaining. After I painted with my chalk paint, and once it was dry, I went directly out and I spray painted this one. So first of all, I made a total rookie mistake, because instead of pumping my spray can, I just held it down and it overflowed floated my area with spray paint. So I actually think that this was the jig that I used, and as you can see, it ran under. So I will teach you how to do this the correct way, so it will look like this instead. One thing that's important once you've painted it is that you make it smooth, because no matter if you're staining, painting or spray painting, I actually did a few test pieces that I'm spray painting that I already spray painted, but it's important that you make this smooth. So you can take a sanding block and you can just kind of wipe off any, I already did that on this one, any bits that are sticking out. Once you're done with that, you have to seal it somehow. So I used a clear acrylic spray paint for mine. This is matte, which explains that it's not glossy at all. But this will help to seal the wood so it doesn't bleed and run outside your pattern. But these are really gorgeous, and for the hanger you can paint it afterwards like I did here, or I also included some laser cut hangers that you could glue on top. Another thing that's great about these is that if you are doing a vendor's market, you can, these are only one layer, so they are pretty easy and fast to make. You could cut a bunch of capital letters or some other designs, and you could have your customers make their own ornaments. So my name is Mia, my husband is Peter, and my son, I will fix the other side, is Felix. So I also made one for our dog, Zoe. So I'll teach you how I paint these letters in the end of the tutorial. So if you don't want to learn this, you can just skip it. Another way that you could paint them, which is what I did with this one, is to place it in your jig. I'll just place it here. And once you've placed it, you add your stencil. And for this one, I used a paint pen. This one. No, that one. A paint pen. This is just an acrylic marker, but it's pretty fine tipped. So I just colored in all the pattern, and once I was almost halfway actually, I decided that I would try to make it dual color. So this I filled with my varnish, which are these metallic colors, also from Fleur, and this one was the champagne. So I did create a beautiful dual colored pattern, and it took around 15 minutes to do this. If I had a stencil that was thinner, it would probably have been easier, because then I could just color over, if that makes sense. But instead I had to use my pen and go around inside all the corners. And for the metallic paint I used a fine pencil. Just see, I can find it. I have one here. I used a fine brush like this and gave it a go in all the corners. I didn't seal this before doing this, and that's probably why it did bleed. Also, I failed to hold it down snug enough anyway. So I think I might have accidentally pushed some paint under the stencil. So this is optional, and you could do it this way. It's not what I really intended for these files, but you can do it. Also, I made another mistake. This is my test piece. So on the other side, it went horribly wrong. So for this one, I actually took my clear acrylic spray afterwards, and I then took a ton of glitter, sprinkled it all over, and hoped for the best. And needless to say that it didn't really turn out as I wanted. But there's plenty of options on how to make these, and it's just a matter of finding the way that you think are cool and you think will look greatest. With all that said, and I'm sorry I'm speaking way too much today, let's show you how to use the stencil. So I'll be using my 3-layered stencil here, and I'll test out the other side. I need to fix this one anyway. So you place them hanger first, tuck them inside the ornament. If you had a little paint on the edges or something like that, it will just be a little more snug fit, but that's okay. So for these spray painted versions, I do feel that it's not as smooth as I hope for. We have a sandstorm right now, so it might be tiny particles of sand. So I'll just take my fine sand block and make sure that it's smooth. But since I spray painted these and I used 2 different brands, I'm hoping that I don't have to seal them, because this is actually already acrylic paint. So this should work fine. But let's place these ornaments and we'll go outside and see if we can paint them. Okay, so I'm outside now and I'm going to use gold, mirror gold spray paint. That's what I used before on 2 of these. But I actually wanted to test out this one, which is this kind of oxidated, I think it's called, bronze kind of color. And I think it's a little more matte. So for these that are spray painted, these are pretty glossy already. So I wanted to see if I could make the back glossy and the pattern kind of oxidated, or how you would refer it. So the first thing you want to do whenever you're using spray paint is to shake it really nice. I already did. And instead of holding down the button, you just kind of give it a few pumps like this. So let's just see. I'm holding my phone with the other hand. So you might see now how I spray painted in this direction. So now I want to turn over and do it from the other direction. I'll take it from the top here. And this is kind of where I went wrong on the first couple of ornaments, because I kept adding my spray paint to fill out the entire pattern. I'm not going to do that this time. Instead, I'll remove my stencil now, and I can place it again after this is dry if that's what I want. So you might notice that I'm wearing rubber gloves, and that's because when you take this off, it will be covered in spray paint, and you don't want that spray paint to be stuck on your fingers. So if you're very carefully, you can use a fingernail or something else. This is a little hard since I'm using my gloves. So instead I'll just go ahead and place, this is actually the bottom from the jig that I didn't assemble yet. So I'll just place that on top of my ornament so I can continue without ruining this. So let's spray paint the next. And I actually took the wrong one. This was not the gold. Yeah, it was. Just looked a little darker. But that might be because this is my spray painted piece. And I'm actually pretty convinced that this will be covered beautifully in the first try. So if you spray paint your ornaments, that might work better than painting them and sealing them afterwards. So this is gorgeous. Let's see if I can get this up. I can't, so I'll just squeeze this one over. And you see the difference? So let's place this on top of here. And I'll just make sure that I don't spray paint on top of the one that's open now. So let's take the oxidized thing. And this might not even be as matte as I thought it would. So I need these tiny corners over here. And I think that's it. So let's try and remove this one. And I do suggest that you remove it before it dries up. So that's beautiful as well. So I actually don't think I need to fix this because it is pretty sharp anyway. So here's the final result. And this was super fast. It took 5 minutes. And if I had chosen to make them all the same color, I could have that time. So I'm back inside, and while my spray painted pieces are drying, I figured that I might as well show you how to paint the letters right away. So what you'll need is 2 colors of kind of matching paint pens. These are metallic markers, but I could use acrylic paint pens as well. I used metallic markers on these, so I'll keep on using the metallic markers, but you could use anything else. So what you want to do is just to paint your letter the darker color. And since Zoe is a girl, a female dog, I'll be using purple on her ornaments. I was thinking that I would add it to this bagger, so purple seemed to be a great fit for that one. So since I'm using the metallic markers, it will kind of make these stripes, so I want to see if I can make them pretty. So what I did with the other letters once this was dry was to take some glitter varnish. I don't know what to call it. It is a type of lacquer or varnish or finish anyway from Fleur. So you just add some to a brush and you can brush it on. And you don't have to use glitter, but I'm a huge fan of glittering everything. So you have to let this dry, and you already see my result because I didn't allow the purple paint to dry first. But I will let this dry and then I can show you how to shade it. So I'll see you in just a few. Okay, so my letter set is almost dry. So I'll just go ahead and show you how to use the metallic marker. So these metallic markers that I have has a dot end and a fine end, which I really love because with the dot end it's easy to take the edge. You just press it against the edge of whatever you're doing, and then you can leave this kind of offset all the way around the piece. Like this. Be careful that it doesn't glide out of your hand. And once you have it outlined, you could take the fine tip and just gently touch up in the corners. And mine did run just a tiny bit, so I'll take my purple and see if I can just go in and add a little line here, like that. So easy peasy, and I now have the sets equal to the F, the P, and my M. Also, while I was waiting for this to dry, I took my varnish and applied it to the backer that kind of went wrong, but because one of the corners were the ugliest one, it actually fits perfect with this set. So even though you make some tiny mistakes, you can disguise them. Also, my ornaments were dry, and I gotta say that this one I love. This was the one that I spray painted with some dark blue paint, and it is semi-glossy, the paint that I used. But after it was dry, I could just fill in the gold, and look how sharp this one is. This was the chalk paint, and you do see that I have a few bleeds somewhere. It might be from when I lifted the jig, but that's okay because I think I will be adding letters to all of them anyway, so the spots that are bleeding I can easily hide. And this was the green one, and this wasn't matte as I thought it would be, but it's gorgeous anyway. And this was also spray painted on the back. So there's a ton of opportunities on how you can make these. The easiest way is the spray paint method, I'm just saying. But if you prefer the other methods, or you want to do something entirely else, go ahead and do so. The more you practice, the more you'll be able to do this in no time. And it's a great market thing if you're doing fairs or vendor markets, because you could take a bunch of letters or a beautiful wreath or text or something else that your customers could layer on top. I actually think that I'll work a little on making some files that you could add on top of these pattern ornaments. So it might not be right now, but I will keep it in mind. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video and you learned something, please give it a like, share it, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be forever grateful. If you want the files, the links are below in the comment section, description, and they are available in my Etsy shop as well as allstarsdesign.com. And if you have any more ideas or requests, or you want to teach me something, feel free to drop a comment. And I hope to see you soon.